So with David Morgan getting season-ending knee surgery from being on the pup list to now this, I kind of wanted to talk about like outlook without him, I guess, which is kind of what they've been doing so far, which is a lot of Kyle Rudolph and blocking, which isn't ideal, but he's been better this year. So there's that. But I kind of also want to talk about just the future of the tight end position in Minnesota, so to speak, because due to the pup rules, the whole like 6 games thing, if you're not active, whatnot, um, his contract's gonna toll over. So that just means his basically this was his contract year. Next year becomes his contract year, and it's basically the same year contractually anyway. Like financially, it's the exact same. So we're gonna get David Morgan for one more year, and that would leave us with Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith, Morgan, and Conklin, all under contract for next season. But are all gonna stay? Probably not. I wouldn't think so. And I'm once again going to go. I know it seems like I just always attack Kyle Rudolph, but it's kind of, I think that's it. Like, I doubt he's in there in 2020 per SpotTrack.com. They have his little contract has a potential out after this season, and he has a cap hit of $8.825 million next year. So I'm really thinking it looks like Minnesota's going to be prepared to kind of switch to Irv Smith and David Morgan and Tyler Conklin as their main 3 tight ends and move on forward from Kyle Rudolph. And there's another thing also from SpotTrack. Minnesota only has around negative $1.8 million in cap space. So they're a little bit in the red next year. And that's where I think you look at a guy like Kyle Rudolph, where it's like, we can't do that. And you kind of have to be prepared for some of these veteran players that we've kind of grown used to seeing in purple, maybe not be in purple after this year, which I think Kyle Rudolph kind of goes into that category. There's probably numerous other players I could probably go over for this, but that can be a separate video. But also with what Kyle's being asked to do, I actually think David Morgan would do just fine doing what Kyle Rudolph does so far this year in terms of the role he's been asked to play so far. And because his thing has been primarily blocking this year for Kyle Rudolph, and that's Morgan's whole thing. He is their best run blocking tight end. He is a superior run blocker. And when you're not involving Kyle Rudolph much in the passing game, what does he give you? Just a big body out there. And I think when you look at the numbers, even, like, I kind of look at this like David Morgan can do that. And I'm pretty sure had David Morgan not even been on the pup, we would not have brought back Kyle Rudolph if this was their plan for this the entire time. But if they didn't feel comfortable with Conklin doing it, then that's different. But they like Conklin for different things. And so far, through the 6 games, Kyle Rudolph he's caught 9 of 11 targets for 72 yards. That's 8 yards a reception, 6.5 yards a target. He's only caught 4 first downs, and that's 0 touchdowns as well. So he's only averaging 12 yards a game, and that's something I feel like, Morgan gets like 10 yards a game. That's really not that big of a deal, and he's a better run blocker. So I feel like overall that might be a thing. And in terms of this tight end position, we're just going to see it kind of morph into, like, even they could still use these 2 tight end sets because it's not like David Morgan can't catch the ball. He's pretty good at catching. It's just a matter of, do you have enough time for him to get there? Because he's pretty slow. But overall, I do think we will see this team kind of go under a roster overhaul. We're going to see a lot of turnover on this roster after this season, and I feel like Rudolph is likely one of these casualties. You could also be looking at a guy like Xavier Rhodes or Riley Reef, but I haven't really looked at the contracts yet. But those are two guys that kind of pop in my head. But yeah, I would like to know your comments down below. Anything you may have to add. All the whatnots, liking, subscribing helps. And until next time, I bid y'all adieu.